progressive game in which you survive by using useful and productive tools and equipment. But among all this, there are some things that are stupid, unimportant, and downright useless. That includes not just items, but also creatures and even biomes. Let's go over the useless tools and items in this game. So first, we have the Propulsion Cannon, which serves no purpose, because their story-based function can literally be skipped by using the space button. Yes, they are fun to torture fists with, or, I don't know, destroy the planet. But other than that, it really has no use that really, progresses the game. Next, you have pipes and air pumps. I don't think I've ever used these things, because they're, well, useless. Their sole purpose can be replaced by either a higher oxygen tank or a simple CMOS. I'm honestly not sure how these can be used productively. Next, we have the Pathfinder tool. I mean, sure, this can be used properly, but if the player has more than a few brain cells, normally you should be able to find your way out of caves. And plus, the caves in Subnautica are really not that complicated, and most of them are only one way anyway. Now we move on to biomes. Now, all biomes are useful in some way, shape, or form, except one. However, some biomes can be skipped entirely without much difference in the playthrough, and I'll include those in this list. So starting off, we have the most useless, pathetic, and dumb biome there is. It's, of course, a crag field. Never heard of it? Yeah, me neither. Now, this zone was made in the most forgettable place on the map, out of the way of absolutely everything important and merely interesting. It only contains one noticeable creature, and the only reason someone would ever travel here was for the Markiplier doll, but really? Next, we have the dunes. I include this on this list because anything found in this biome can be found elsewhere, except for the steel suit, which really isn't that important. This area is simply too dangerous for anything to be worth, so it's sadly skipped in most playthroughs. Next, we have the dead zone for, well, obvious reasons. Next, we have the bulb zone. Unfortunately, this biome, like the crag field, is way too far out of the way to be visited and has way too little importance to be useful. Though the plants are really cool, the wreckages aren't worth the trip, danger isn't worth the exploration, and the entrance to the Lost River is probably the furthest away and the least interesting out of them all, allowing this zone to be skipped entirely. Then we have the Sea Treader's Path. This biome is probably the most empty of them all, with only a single interesting creature and pretty much nothing else. I feel it's overshadowed by the Grand Reef, which is simply more important in every single way. Next, we move on to the fauna. Firstly, we have, of course, the rabbit rays and shitterbug. Now, I'd understand if these were found exclusively in the Spar Reef or some other empty biome, but these guys are found everywhere, and they do simply nothing. You can't consume them or hump them. Well, why the hell? Anyway, they aren't really aesthetically interesting because they're overshadowed by every other useful fish in their zone. Rock grub! It's there sometimes. This creature barely exists. It's only found in specific locations, and when it does appear, it's so small you have to play in 1080p to even have a chance to see it. And when you do see it, it does absolutely nothing. Except float, maybe? Next up, we have floaters. The small ones, not the obese ones. A lot like the rock grubs, they don't do all that much. They sort of just sit there and, well, float. I was going to include the cuttlefish, but I found out that it's useful to enhance a gamer's experience or spirit. I don't know. I guess I won't include it. Now we move on to the random stuff I thought I'd mention. Salt deposits. So you're traveling through with your prawn suit and your drill arm, and you see these big chunks of salt. Have you ever drilled one? No, it's probably your answer, because I have no idea who needs 15 pieces of salt, unless you're making the biggest fish and chips meal ever. Next up, we have every tree that isn't a Bobo tree. I don't know why these trees exist, because their Bobo counterparts are much superior, since they not only are colourful, but are delicious and very nutritious and hydratious. Next, we have the torpedo arm and the propulsion arm for the prawn suit. Now, these two arms cannot compare to the drill arm and grapple arm. The torpedo arm just does not deal enough damage or have enough ammo to overpower the drill arm, but the propulsion cannon, needless to say, is bad. Next, we have sunbeam. Next, we have all life pod survivors. Then we have the outdoor storage containers. These are the worst option for storage. They are the most awkward, ineffective, and most unproductive way to store anything. I used them once in a playthrough, and then I never went back. Now I want to go over the most useful stuff in the game, because as Zombie would say, there's no bad without the good. In this section, I won't be including stuff that you pretty much have to get, otherwise this video would never end. It's just going to be the stuff that are going to improve the Subnautica experience. So the first obvious two are the drill arm and grapple arm, which make the prawn suit actually usable. Now these arms will make navigating and material gain 1,000 times easier, especially in deeper areas. Next to Sea Glide, use him and abuse him, or prepare for a very long and boring game. The Bubber Tree is an excellent source of food for a base or a cyclops. It beats lantern fruits or any other food source. I highly recommend it for underwater cyclops exploration, for nutrition and hydration. Next, I want you to drink bleach. I mean, get bleach. So instead of spending a good 36 years finding bladderfish for a very minimal amount of water, let's use silk and coral tubes to craft a healthy load of water. I wish I knew this way of getting water before I started Subnautica, before losing half my life trying to find bladderfish. Stasis rifle. This weapon may not eradicate the opposition. However, the long stun in the large area makes it a must when looking for cyclop parts. Metal scraps. You gotta love them. The legendary multi-purpose room. If any room can, and the multi-purpose room can. So now I want to go over some of the honorable mentions of useless things that you may or may not be thinking of right now, but I haven't been over yet. The Spar Reef, I didn't put this in because it has some importance, like rubies and the life pod 19, the floating island coordinates, moonpool fragments, and it's located in a very important zone of the map between like a lot of really important biomes. Makes it like a really interesting base location. Jroom Cave. This place does not have a lot, however, it's the prime location for magnetite and the Decathlon base coordinates, so I felt like it had some importance. It's also home to the crab snake, solar seamoth charger. I decided not to put this, though it's useless deep underwater, it can still be used on the surface when traveling in shallow areas. Now, shallow water isn't scary. If you want to see me rank the scariest creatures in Subnautica, check out this video. It'll be like here. If not, let me know if you have any suggestions for this list, because after all, this is a gents only video and I'm bound to miss like half of things. Anyway, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.